Hi guys, Togger here with a new video, and this video will be my Resto Druid PvP guide video for Season 3, which is 10.2 in Dragonflight, and we're going to talk about the stats, the embellishments that you should go for, the tier set, do you want to go for the 4 set or not? Spoiler, you should, but I'm going to discuss it a bit more throughout in this video. We're going to talk about a few builds. There is a build where I can play in 2s. There's a build where I play in 3s. In solo shuffle, there are multiple builds, but you have a lot of variants, so be sure to check that out and to watch it completely so you don't miss anything about the builds. Then we're going to talk about the comps, which are pretty vast, but I'm still going to talk about it a bit. And then we're going to talk about solo shuffle, the best strategies for solo shuffle. I might put some gameplay sections, clips into the video, but I'm not sure about it depending on the actual length of the video. I'm also going to talk about how to counter a Resto Druid, because again, I think a lot of people watch guys also not playing the spec, but actually try to find a way to counter it. I'm going to give you the tools to counter one, because Resto Druid is actually an S tier spec, so I think it's only fair to actually let out the secrets about Resto Druid and how to counter it. I think the best way to know that is also to play one, but some people don't have the time to actually learn that. And then we're going to talk about the rotational heals, when to go aggressive, when to try to go for cyclones, but that is pretty much feel and game feel. So I'm going to give you some tips, but it will depend on you. And then some macros, there is also a cancel form one. I'm going to also spoil right now. It is very important to have one if you want to be very mobile. Anyways, let's talk about Resto Druid. First and foremost, I think it's a S tier spec. I think it will stay S tier, even though if it gets nerfed, depending on how it gets nerfed, it's unlikely that it will drop to D tier. So it will be a very good pickup for until War Within. Then we will know and see if they're going to change anything about Resto Druid. But for now, I think it is going to be a very good spec to put your time into it. Also, you can play very aggressive in 2s, you can play very aggressive in 3s and solo shuffle. So don't think as a layback healer, because you can play as a layback healer, but if you want to win the maximum amount of games in solo shuffle, you want to also play aggressive. There is no secret, as a healer, you don't have a lot of impact in some games. But if you're letting the DPS do whatever they want to do, of course that impact is going to be lower and lower and lower. So I'm going to learn also make you learn how to play aggressive. Now let's talk about the stats. The intro was quite big, but I think it was very necessary to talk and to put some expectations on the video. So my stats are varied. I try to have a healthy amount of haste, a healthy amount of mastery, and of course some verse. I'm at 29%, and of course the speed, which is important if you want to play a Resto Druid. You want to be very mobile and very I would say put some distance whenever you have to, and put some close combat feel whenever you have to for a stun, cyclone, whatever you want to actually do. So stats, mastery first, then I would even say haste, and then verse. I know verse is very interesting to have to take less damage, but also to heal more and to do damage, especially if you want to play aggressive. Having more verse is better, but I would say that haste, it makes me feel way better to do a cyclone, makes me feel way better whenever I'm going boomkin to do some starfires and some rafts. It feels just smooth, and I like to have a healer being with a lot of haste, because it feels just way better to play. That's why Resto Shaman sometimes feels a bit sluggish, because you don't have a lot of haste, because you want to have full mastery. As a Resto Druid, you can actually have a few interesting things. For example, I have a ring which has precog. Surprise, you have to play with precog, but I also play with the Zen Focus embellishment, which gives me mastery above 90% of health, which is quite nice again. But I put haste mastery on my ring. I'm also planning to do so for my neck, to be honest, but for now I'm still trying to see if I want to go for that or not. But again, I think haste mastery is a great stat. You're losing verse, but I think you can compensate it on a few other pieces, like for example the weapon, the braces, for example, the boots. You have a lot of ways to compensate it. So again, if you want to go the route of having a lot of mastery and a lot of haste, it is respectable and it works. It really works. It also feels way better to play, way better, especially since they nerfed mastery. So you see, right now I'm in PvE, so 17% is 17%, but if you're going in PvP, you have to take 15% of that 17% and it is shaven off. So it will not be 17%, it will be 14%, for example, in PvP combat. It's noticeable if you have like full HOTS, it does feel like you're doing a bit less, but again, I think Resto Druid often overheal, so it's alright to have a bit more haste as well to feel way better, but also play aggressive. If you want to play aggressive, it is possible with this build. We play with the Zen Focus, like I said, as an embellishment. We go for the foresight, which is shoulders, head, unfortunately, critical strike, haste, verse mastery, hands, and also haste mastery legs, which are actually very good stats for your legs. And then we also have a few things. For example, I created the belt, which is verse mastery. I think I'm going to create boots with verse mastery on the boots. I also have like probably a creation on verse mastery on the wrists. I think it will be enough haste and it will also be enough mastery. Okay, so those are the stats. 4-piece, I think it's fantastic. You should go for you. So it means if you play with Nourish, it still works. Although I think there is no reason to play Nourish right now with the Grove Gardens being so strong. But you do you. Now heals 2 additional allies within 45 yards at 40% effectiveness. It's okay. The 2-set is okay because again, Nourish is going to have some splash AoE kind of thing. It's 20% in PvP, I think. It's not going to be like life-changing, but it's a bit noticeable. It's alright. The 4-set is actually quite nice. Consuming clear casting, which is something you're always going to do. It's going to be often. You think in a match you have like around 20 or even more clear casting spells. Now causes your regrowth to also cast to Nourish. So in general, you're going to heal a lot of people, like just splash healing. So that's why if you're like hotting one target and a second one, it feels like you're overhealing, but also you're keeping 2 targets alive even without scenario ward of this on the second target. So it's quite nice and quite noticeable as well. Overall, I think it's a fantastic 4-set and you should for sure go for it. I think everyone knows that, but still I'm going to repeat it. I go for the enchants, which is intellect mana. I'm a poor boy, so I have like only the silver one, but if you want to have the gold one, it's probably better. Waking stats on the chest. I don't need that much mana. Speed and homebound speed on the cloak and the wrists, and of course Planeswalker's Breeze on the boots. And we have Sophic Devotion on the weapon, which I'm also planning to do so on my epic one once I have it. I need some bloody tokens for it. Overall, a fantastic spec to play. Now let's talk about the builds. Just in general, I think the builds are going to be very interesting if you're like watching at home. This is going to be your standard build. And you're going to say, but where is Adaptive Swarm? I'm going to explain it a bit further down the line. But first, let's talk about the class tree. The class tree, it's pretty cut and dry. It's very hard to change anything if you want to play trees or Soul Shuffle. There is, of course, Rake that you can go for. I generally remove Nature's Cure for Rake if I feel like I'm not playing versus a Curse or Poison, for the extra stun, for example, on Rake. But also, there is also a way where you can play without Innervate if you feel like you're winning with mana. For example, versus a Preservation Evoker, you're not going to lose on mana, so Innervate will not save. Like it will do something, but it's not like you're going to need mana versus them, for example. But let's say versus a Holy Paladin, versus a Resto Shaman, you should play Innervate probably. And also depending on comps, if you're playing like a setup comp, you will lose on mana because you don't have enough consistent damage pressure to actually make the other a healer actually overheal, and you are often going to be the one overhealing your targets. So those are the setups. I'm going to even apply it since That's mostly how I play. I think I see a lot of one like Resto Druid is playing with Tiger Dash. I understand that it feels alright. It's a 45-second CD, but I think playing with Wild Charge is way too good, especially in, like non-shape shifted form. You can actually fly to an ally if you're playing versus a caster with a caster, and you're the target for some reason. You can always like fly to an ally, and then you have a lot of ways to run away. You also have charge with bear form. You have also your leap as a cut form for rake, for example. Just in general with truffle form, you can actually do some sick plays. I think it just is a no-brainer. We have Lycara's teachings, which is again no form. You get a lot of haste. As a Moonkin, whenever you're going Moonkin form, it's a wasted stat because mastery doesn't do too much for you. But if you're playing twos and you go for cat form, getting more crit is always going to be welcome if you're going for a go. We play with 1 point in Well-Horned Instincts. The issue is the second point it's not really worth it. Although like the protect of the pack is quite nice, it's not worth like the amount of points you have to spend to go for that. I'll play with Vortex. It's too good. You can really outplay a lot of stuff. I know that Mass Entanglement can be very good versus like BM hunters because you want to actually root the pets to actually have a minimal damage whenever you are like running away. But Vortex is way too good in most situations, like for example mages or warlocks or whatever. You can really ruin their day with a good Vortex. I have Moonkin form. Generally people are like always going to build that because they want astral influence, but I do play with that because I want to actually do damage. I'm going to show you why, but it really hurts. It's doing a lot of damage. If you like having a lot of options with your heals on your targets and you're like not feeling that they're going to die, and you go Moonkin form with your Call of the Elder Druid, which is your PvP taunt, giving you Heart of the Wild, it can actually give you the opportunity to finish out games by yourself. And nobody's going to kick you on Starfire. They are going to kick you on Wrath if you don't have another cast in your team. So be careful about that. But if you feel like you can actually do double Starfire with a Star Surge, it's guaranteed 300k damage in a very short span of time because you are building haste like me. Haste mastery, mastery haste, so you're going to have a better time to actually use and to obliterate people with it. Don't forget, your Heart of the Wild gives you more damage on your balance spells, but also reduces the cast time of your balance spells. So your haste plus this is going to give you Starfires like a 1 second cast or something like that, 1.2. So it's going to be very smooth to actually cast it out. Again, very strong. Wild Growth, I see people cast it. Do not cast it. It costs way too much mana. It's double the rejuve for very little healing. Very little. You actually don't want to cast it. I find it very bad to do so. If you're playing RBGs, you can play with Early Spring. So your Wild Growth gives LIFEBLOOM on all targets. That's fine. But you don't want to cast it in arenas. I feel like it's not worth it. So those are the class 3 options. Again, I want to show you the Feral Affinity one. So those are the ones that I'm playing. I'm going to explain the spec tree after it. So this is like my twos build in general. I can also play the twos build with the other build, but I think this one is way more suited if you are playing with a spec that is actually always the target and you have time to do a stun and then a convoke, for example. Very strong. I like it. I play with Incapacitating Roar, but you can also play with Mighty Bash. But I really like to incap Cyclone. It's like the best CC ever that you're going to do. It's a 30-second CD, which lines up with the Cyclone DR. So again, people are going to sit incap Roar, and they're going to sit Cyclone, which is easily a 10-second CD, like 10 or 11 or 12-second CC if you have like any DR going up, for example. Very strong. I like it. Alright, and also I play with Skull Bash. It's also very strong, but you don't really want to bash someone because generally they're stunned whenever you're doing a go. So, but you can be very sneaky. Like again, it has 13 yards range. So if someone casts in front of you and you feel like you have time to actually cut from Skull Bash, you should do so because it generally will give you a lot of opportunities afterwards, especially versus Destruction Warlock, where they are going to only count on the interrupt of your ally. And if you feel like you can actually kick something, it can actually help you to secure a win. So those are the things. Also, I'm not playing with a lot of defensives. Again, I'm playing very wild. You could also just remove all those points and go for like matted fur very easily, without improved swipe and such. But I like to play aggressive with intus especially, and I feel like this build is the best one to do so. So let's talk about the class tree. So as you may know, as you may seem, Adaptive Swarm is not taken by me. I'm going to explain. I play a lot of Soul Shuffle, and Adaptive Swarm is good. I think it's 16% in PvP. It's a bit nerfed. It's alright to get like an increased mastery effect, I would say, but also the increased healing. It feels like you're healing a lot. That's all good. But often I lose my games because actually I don't have enough oomph with instant heals, or like for example instant free growths, and I feel like most of the games this talent saves my life. The reforestation gives me every 3 casts of a Swiftman grants me an incarnation of 3 of life for 10 seconds. The good thing about it is whenever I'm doing 3 of life, it's at 30 seconds. It lasts 30 seconds. And Swiftman is a 15-second CD. After or not, I start the Soul Shuffle with like double LIFEBLOOM, regrow for myself. Sometimes I rejuve if I feel like they're going to go super aggressive, and then I'm going stealth. I rake someone, and then I put like again another LIFEBLOOM and another LIFEBLOOM on both targets, and I keep like a lot of hots on everyone. And I put Scenario Ward on the one that is going to get the most damage, or at least the focus, and I can directly do a Swiftman. After I have done my Swiftman, often or not, what I do is 3 of 5 regrowth to do a big heal. And then I put like triple 3 ounce. Again, it's a lot of overheal, but let me explain. Those 3 ounce are going to lower the CD of Incarnation 3 of Life. And in Soul Shuffle, often or not, I get a second 3 of Life after 2 minutes, probably, because of all the Grove Guardians. I get a 2 minutes, like every 2 minutes I get an Incarnation 3 of Life, and every 3 Swiftmans I get a 3 of Life also. And the 3 of Life will also give me another Grove Guardian, because you summon a Grove Guardian every 10 seconds. So whenever your 3 of Life is going to end, you get also a Grove Guardian, which is going to be insane. But also, if you can have a triple Swiftman, I would say, in a time span of a first Incarnation 3 of Life, you can have a 40-second 3 of Life, which again gives me a lot of Grove Guardians, and again, it's insane healing. It gives me a lot of oomph. I like it. It feels way more fun to play like this in Soul Shuffle, because I feel like I have like a second 3 of Life of that is going to save my life. And in general, it really is a great talent. You have to lose Adaptive Swarm, unfortunately. Imagine you could play with Scenario Guidance, you could have Adaptive Swarm. The issue with that is I do love the CD reduction on Incarnation 3 of Life, but also I like the increased Grove Guardians every time I get a 3 of Life. It is just a lot of healing, often and not top 2 or top 3 healing with my Grove Guardians, so I like it. I do play with Master Shapeshifter. Why? Because I do a lot of Wrath stuff, Star Surges. It refunds a lot of mana, but to be honest, I take it for the damage. And in 2s, Cat form with your Convoke the Spirits actually gives you a lot of mana. You don't need to play Innervate, for example. This is giving you a lot of damage, a lot of like mana because of all the combo points you're going to spend, and also your Convoke uses those combo points spenders like Rip, Ferocious Bite, and Maim. All those 3 are going to be giving you mana, and Convoke just thinks that you spend 5 combo points every time you're going to Convoke. So you're going to get like 30k mana like every single Convoke, which is in fact better than Innervate in most games. So again, I really like this talent tree. There's a few things that you can change, like for example, you could remove cultivation and go for inner peace. If you feel like you're playing versus a windwalker and they want to go for you, your tranquility is not going to be good because they're going to push you away with ring of peace. So you do need inner peace, but cultivation just gives you another like mastery regen, so it's good. I play with verdant infusion. I wish I could play with germination, but again, I think Tree of Life is too good to pass, and you have to lose Tree of Life like as a whole to get germination, so you need to lose those 2 points, and also probably reforestation to get out of the swarm, and also nurturing dormancy and germination. But I think that is pretty much good. I try invigorate, but I don't like it for some reason. I just feel like I'm losing games because of that most of the time. Because again, if I get CC'd, while I have invigorate, I will lose LIFEBLOOM, and often or not, if you lose your LIFEBLOOM, it means that you don't have the oomph necessary to heal a lot. LIFEBLOOM is actually your biggest thing going on. Don't do like too many rejuves. Rejuves is only one stack of mastery, and it heals for not that much. It heals for a lot if you do Swiftmend rejuve, but often not you want to do is Swiftmend regrowth or Swiftmend with nature's swiftness with a regrowth and gives you like a full heal, for example. But if you're like using on rejuve, unfortunately you will lose on burst damage in general. Yeah, there is that. Again, nourish. I understand some people that want to play that. Unfortunately, growth gardens are just too strong. I mean, unfortunately, fortunately as well, because the foresight and everything is just making growth gardens work very well. But I like nourish. Unfortunately, you don't have the space. I wish it was like somewhere else so you could actually take it, but for now it is not possible. Yeah, that's it. You could also have waking dreams instead of nature's splendor. I do like the increased healing from the nature swiftness on regrowth, but this is also a lot of passive healing. So if you have like 3 rejuves, it heals for a lot on either gifts. But again, I like nature splendor. You could take passing seasons, but again, I don't feel like I need that in general. I feel like the increased oomph that I need is often the one that I actually really need. So that is enough for me. So those are the talents. Again, if you have questions about it, please do comment below. Again, I understand that you're going to like ball your eyes out for reforestation instead of like adaptive swarm. But trust me, adaptive swarm is good, but it's not often that you're going to lose the game because you have full hots on the ally. Often what you need is to be able to do a full regrowth LIFEBLOOM on a second target or a third target to actually get your healing going. And reforestation just helps me with that. Adaptive swarm, it's not like often I'm putting it on adaptive swarm and the game is saved. That's not often the case. But if I'm using Tree of Life at the start of the game and I have like reforestation afterwards, that often saves me the game and gives me a lot of time to recoup and a lot of time to actually do a cyclone like on a focus target, for example, and often I win because of that. And people are like not noticing, but Tree of Life is a big CD these days, so you should really play around that. I often never like die in a Tree of Life, so if they're going for me, I feel like I'm invincible in general. With just bark skin and with this, it is enough to actually recoup a lot of like the damage that I'm going to take if they go for me. So those are the class tree, spec tree. Feral affinity, there is only one thing that changes. You could have 2 things actually. Reforestation is nice, but it is not really a prerequisite in 2s. I feel like in general, I'm not struggling with healing. I'm struggling with CC or getting CC'd. So you could play with the adaptive swarm, but again, I like the increased healing that I get from Incarnation Tree of Life, and depending on who I'm playing with, sometimes I need the increased healing because of that. Because I'm not playing Tree of Life, I need to have something that can save my life, exactly. So Convoke the Spirits, again, if you have the time to do a main and have a big Convoke the Spirits, it can often just win out a game for you. It's also a lot of mana regen because of Master Shapeshifter, and it's a scary ability. People are going to kick you or stun you or like trinket directly for you. although you're not the main DPS, it can actually give you the main DPS vibe that you need to actually win the game, for example. So that is the SPEC tree. Now let's talk about PvP talents. There are a few things that you can switch, but there is like 2 talents that I always take in general, and it's focused growth. Gives me a lot of mana like cost reduction on LIFEBLOOM, which is something I'm spamming because I don't want to lose my LIFEBLOOMs on my targets, because I don't want it to expire or to be dispelled. It will heal, but it's not like the one thing that makes me heal for a lot. The good thing is LIFEBLOOM counts for 3 stacks of Mastery Harmony because of this talent. So you want to be able to have always a LIFEBLOOM on the target. You don't want to drop it because you have another talent that gives me more healing if it stays on target for much longer than it is supposed to. So LIFEBLOOM healing is increased by 6% each time it heals, up to 90%. It's nerfed in PvP, I don't know how much, but it's nerfed in PvP. And also increases LIFEBLOOM's final bloom amount by 15%. The good thing is you have photosynthesis, which is going to give me a chance to have periodic heals to bloom the LIFEBLOOM. So you will have benefits from this talent, regardless if it gets dispelled or it expires. At least it will also bloom multiple times on the target as well, so you will have a lot of value for that. And this gives me more healing, will give me a less mana cost. It's just a high value talent, and you're going to not drop the LIFEBLOOM, so you're going to apply it 3 times at least on the target anyways, and that's going to be quite nice. Then we have the second talent, but this one is the one that I change most of the time, if I do change. Call of the Herald Druid is a fantastic talent. If you want to play like very aggressive, this is going to be the one for you. But also, if they switch on you, and you still have it on cooldown, and you're going to switch on bear form, it effectively kills the go in general. With this up, you're not going to die. Normally, you could die, but normally you shouldn't. So this is going to give you the security behind it. You also have thorns. I personally don't like it. It's a 45-second CD. It is dispellable. The damage is not as much as before. I think in season 1 it did more damage because of like the HP to damage ratio. Right now it's just lower. It reduces the movement speed, but again, we are not really in a melee meta-centric meta. So DHs, DKs, casters, they don't get affected too much by that movement speed, but also they don't really do physical damage. So in general, this is going to be less of a value. And then I have like reactive listen. Like, for example, if I'm playing, it's difficult because I don't really like this talent. Because also they don't get silence because they only like dispel 2 times, they drop it, they dispel 2 times, they drop it. Especially since most shamans take the double purge talent, so you're going to have a CD on purge, but you're going to purge 2 things. So effectively, they have a CD on purge, which is I think 8 seconds or 10 seconds, I don't know, I don't remember. So they will never activate reactive resistance anyways. So there is no real reason to go for that. And priests in general, they have time to purge, but often not they lose games whenever they do so, because they're not healing whenever they're doing so. So again, I feel like this talent is not really high value. I think if it was 2 stacks, why not? But it's 3 stacks, so that's why I'm not really taking it too much. High winds got nerfed, so I'm not taking it too much. Early spring is quite nice if you're playing RBGs because you don't have time to play aggressive. So early spring can help you if you play with wall growth to have multiple LIFEBLOOMs, and that will effectively give you a lot of healing. This entanglement is actually very nice versus DKs because you cannot remove a chain of ice, but this can. So if you struggle with kiting, this can actually help you. But I'm not gonna lie, Call of the Elder Druid is too good to not take it, so after not, I do take it. Entangling Bark is bad, so don't take it. Keeper of the Roof, always taking it, except whenever I feel like I'm never the target. For example, if I'm playing double caster in 3s, I often don't get targeted because it's suicide, although they should sometimes do that, but they're not doing it. Then I would not take it, but in general, this is going to give you a bubble. So it's always nice to have it, especially since it can actually like blow you up if you don't have hots. So this can actually just give you some time to relax and to have a plan for the duration of the tranquility, which is 6 seconds, excuse me. So it's going to help you recoup the damage and the situation in general. So those are the PvP talents, the spec tree, the class tree, everything has been discussed. It's already a very long video, but again, I wanted to explain as much as I can so people can understand and they can start playing Resto Druid. I think it's a fantastic spec, so you should definitely play it. I don't take renewal. You could, but I don't feel like it saves me. Most of the time, it's not really saving me, so I'm not taking it. Also, improve rejuve is nice, but it's not like rejuve is my top priority spell anyways. So yeah, 3 seconds is not going to cut it. And you could play Typhoon on some maps instead of Innervate. Again, Mungambala, for example, or the Dalan servers or whatever, you can actually push people off. So it could help win some games. So let's talk about comps. In 2 is very simple. You want to play with a spec that can actually hold themselves alive whenever you're going to play aggressive. So demonology warlock, destruction warlock, even affliction warlock. I would say not warrior. You can play warrior, but then you play like a Resto Druid that is going to be laid back because you don't want to be the target pretty much. You don't want to get cleaved, you and the warrior, so you want to play relaxed. So going Feral Affinity is not the play. Survival Hunter, BM Hunter, ideal. I think it's too strong. Your CC is on point, so you should go for that as well. Those are the comps pretty much. You could play with a rogue, that's also quite nice, but they would prefer priest in general, but you can play with a rogue. You can play with a lot of specs. You just need to know if you're going to like it or not to play aggressive or you're going to play passively. That's pretty much it. Demon Hunter is also quite nice, but again, you don't really want to get cleaved. You want to have the Demon Hunter to actually cleave the enemy target. So, again, preferable you play with a Warlock, a very good one, and you can actually really burst a lot and often because you have more opportunities like double coil and then a stun. That's pretty much a convoke go, for example. In 3s, my preference are playing with casters in general. I think with casters, it's a really relaxed way to play. You can play with melees, but in general, it depends if you're like on Discord or not. But I feel like people are lining me or running away from me like all the time, and I feel like I'm playing Soul Shuffle whenever I'm not on Discord. If I'm on Discord, even then I'm asking like, relax, you're lining me, or relax, I need to chase you all the time. While with a cast, I can position myself to a way where I'm not getting kited all the time, right? So I like to play with casters, and in general, elemental shaman with a destruction warlock, affliction warlock, or demonology warlock, priceless comp. You can play with a mage, lock, a druid, also perfect. You can also play like a Shadow Priest, Frost Mage, or Shadow Priest with a Destruction Warlock, like a Shadow Play comp. You can have a lot of good comps. You can also play with a caster melee comp, for example. You can play Warrior Elemental Shaman, that's actually very strong. You could also play a Warrior with a DK, that's also very strong, although again I don't like it too much, but it's very strong. You have a lot of ways to play the game. It depends on your preference. Again, you're a healer, so you have the opportunity to choose the comps that you want to play, and that's actually a very good thing. Let's talk about Soul Shuffle. Soul Shuffle, you're very strong. I feel like people are like never doing an optimal like start, and whenever they are not doing it, it feels like you're wasting opportunities. But I'm going to show you afterward, once we are on the dummies, what you need to do every start of the match. There is like a few opportunities, like there are a few moments where you're not doing it. For example, in a 4 stealthy comp Soul Shuffle lobby, I would say, like for example rogue, like double hunter, or double rogue hunter mage, or like something like this, right? Double hunter rogue mage. There are a few comps where it feels like if you're healing at the start, you're just losing mana. But often not, what they do is they zug, and you will always have value on your life bloom and regrowth if you start with that. How to counter a Resto Druid. Now, I'm going to give you out the secret. The mana of a Resto Druid is actually the least manageable thing if you actually switch targets all the time. If you're sitting on one target, it is the easiest way to heal. I repeat, if you stay on one target, which often they do on Soul Shuffle, they think enhancement shaman is a target, it's the target, it's the target, only enhancement shaman, go, only enhancement shaman, don't look at other DPS, only enhancement shaman is the easiest way to heal. Because you will have full hots, scenario and ward will never drop, life bloom will never drop, your overgrowth will be basically only used on the second target whenever you're going to switch. And if you're never doing it, it's very manageable to use your CDs whenever you need to, and instead of whenever you have to. It's also an easy Iron Bark. It's easy to vortex the DPS because you know how they are going to react. It's easy to Swiftmend that target because, again, the increased healing from Swiftmend, the increased hot on the Swiftmend, everything is going to be pretty much perfect. And you have a lot of time to actually cyclone because you're not the target, so you may as well just cyclone the second DPS. So if you want to beat a Resto Druid, you actually want to switch targets all the time. And the best target to switch on, if you have the opportunity, is the Resto Druid because they are going to either panic, and God knows Resto Druid they know how to panic. They're going to directly Tranquility or direct Bear Form without a life bloom on themselves. Or worse, they're going to life bloom themselves instead of knowing what was the last life bloom, because you have double life bloom, right? You have life bloom 1, life bloom 2. If you're using life bloom on yourself, for example, and the two targets have life bloom, the first one is going to drop. But if the first one of the life bloom is the one that is normally the target, they will lose the 3 stacks of life bloom and they have to start again with zero life blooms, which effectively kills your mana, kills your momentum, and also kills your healing. So if you switch out targets, effectively you don't need to kill the Resto Druid. You just need to make them swap life blooms, and then you go on the one that has no life bloom. And then he's going to spend a life bloom on that target. Then you swap on the third one that has no life bloom. And then you're going to swap all the time. In trees it works because you have communication. In Soul Shuffle it's a bit different, but that's why the Soul Shuffle on Resto Druid is very strong, because there no communication means that it is an easier game for Resto Druids. In trees, if you switch out targets all the time, you're going to the Resto Druid. And also, it's very frustrating as well. And also, it's way easier to eliminate the target whenever they don't have the hots, especially Life Bloom. Again, Life Bloom is not the most costly spell out there, but you have to stack it, and you have to keep Life Bloom for a period of time to get the best value on Life Bloom. And I think a lot of Resto Druid don't know that, and that's the way to counter one. In Soul Shuffle, pretty much try to go Resto Druid every now and then. You can scare them off or even just one-shot them if they are caught off guard. And having Tranquility gone, that's actually a sign for you to go for the Resto Druid in general. If Tranquility is gone and they have no real CDs anymore, like Iron Bark, you can just go through it. It's only 20%, right? So you should really consider it, and it's going to be an easier time for you to win games versus that. Again, sorry, Resto Druid, if you don't want to have the secret out, the secret is out now, so I wanted to discuss about it, and I think that's pretty much it. Let's talk about rotation really quickly, and opportunities for you to go for aggressive plays. So we have PvP dummy and training dummy. Don't notice too much the healing, the throughput, because again, I'm not in PvP combat. So if I'm in PvP combat, I'm not in PvP combat. If I'm in PvP combat, those are my stats. I have 18% mastery, 35% haste. And you see on the dummy, you don't see the numbers change, but if you're in Soul Shuffle, you will see 15%, for example, instead of 18%. I have 31% versatility because at night you get 3% versatility, I think, because of this talent, which is 2% rising light and falling light. So, at the start, the gates open. First thing you want to do is Life Bloom, Life Bloom, regrowth, and if you have luck, you have a clear casting one. So your both targets have regrowth, and you also have regrowth. So in any case, if they go for you for some reason and you started a match like this, often not you will have your regrowth on you, so at least you have something. You want to not drop the live blooms. Again, it's a bit difficult here because you don't see the nameplate, so it's a bit harder for me to actually realize who is getting healed or not. But you want to have 3 stacks. You don't want to spam it those 3 stacks directly because you want to have the other hots as well. So those are going to be important because the more hots you have, the more mastery you have, and mastery is actually written like this. Your healing is increased by 16% for each of your restoration, heal over time effects on the target. So basically, everything on the spec tree, everything in your books with Restoration Druid, it's basically a hot that is going to give you more mastery, which is going to give you more healing. The important stuff is to have Life Bloom on both targets, regrowth on yourself because you're going to have triple regrowth because of this talent. Regrowth healing over time is increased by 50% and also applies to the target of your Life Bloom. So if you don't have Life Bloom, just do it on yourself and you have like triple regrowths, which is very important. And with that start, if they zug, at least they are not naked. Trust me, if you don't have this and they zug at the start, they are naked. You have to start from scratch. And this is something you don't want, right? And then if you feel like this one is the target, you need to have regrowth, you need to have rejuve, you need to reapply Life Bloom because you want to have full max stacks on it, and also have a Scenario Ward. And by this time, it's pretty much unkillable. Then you have a Swift Mend, and then your regrowth. Don't press rejuve, is going to heal a lot. It's going to heal for 226k, for example, without dampening, and I'm not in PvP combat. So this is going to be important. Swift Mend, always regrowth. You don't want to rejuve afterwards. I don't care if you don't have rejuve on. That is not important. You're losing too much healing. Just press regrowth and then you can press rejuve. It doesn't matter, right? So again, I'm going to repeat because I see a lot of healers do that. Don't do that. If your rejuve is going to go down and you do a Swift Mend and you don't have a lot of time, you need to press regrowth. I don't care. Swift Mend, regrowth. And if you have problems, Swift Mend into nature swiftness, regrowth. You can even macro it if it's difficult. So you can just double tap it and you have it. It's very important. And if you're like struggling at the start and it feels like you're getting overwhelmed because of the damage, and trust me, the damage is very high, you want to Swift Mend and then you want to Tree of Life, regrowth, and then you're set. Triple growth, and that's pretty much it. Like nobody dies here. Nobody dies. Then you have Snoring Ward. Iron Bark, if really it can't be manageable, you just do this, and then just jump like a R word, right? Just jump around. Doesn't matter. They can switch on you. They switch on you, you do a Life Bloom. But understand, your first Life Bloom should actually be on the target that is not going to be the target normally. So, for example, you're playing with a Frost Mage and, let's say, a Warrior. In general, they're on the target. Frost Mage, Warrior, you want to put your Life Bloom on the Warrior first, and then a Life Bloom on the Frost Mage. Again, I'm going to repeat, you want to Life Bloom the target first, which one is not going to be the target normally, and the second one is the one that is going to be the target, because if, God forbid, they go for you for some reason, you don't lose your Life Bloom on the main target. You lose your Life Bloom on the Warrior target, which is not a bad thing, because again, they're normally not the target. If they are the target, you just put again another Life Bloom on the Frost Mage, and then you're going to do a Life Bloom on your Warrior. So you are the one losing the Life Bloom. So be sure to always reapply the Life Bloom on the main target, then switch the Life Bloom on the second target. So you can actually not lose the Life Bloom. Again, very important, I'm going to show you. He is not the target, he is the target. I am the target now. Boom, I switch out, he loses the Life Bloom, but he stays with the Life Bloom. Alright? So, for example, if now they are on me. I have triple life bloom, he has triple life bloom, and I have to switch out, but he's normally the target. I put another life bloom on him, and then I put a life bloom on this target. Now he has a life bloom, and since I am normally not the target, I lose my life bloom. So the main target is always going to be safe. So a frost mage, a warlock, whatever, they always need to have triple life bloom. That's very important. Trust me, how often you lose life bloom for a wimp and it's done. They're switching on you, it's done. So again, I have a life bloom on this target. He is normally the target. I have a life bloom on myself. For some reason, they want to switch to the third target because they see, oh, he has no hots. Put another life bloom on this target, switch life blooms to this target. You lose the life bloom, he gets the life bloom. Again, I think that's the most important tip of there. I think it's too important because I realized it's a bit too late. And since I switched it out, I actually got the elite set pretty easily. And trust me, as a healer, it is not as easy to climb from a 1500 MMR to a 1800 MMR. Often or not, a lot of healers are actually climbing way easier whenever they have like a starting MMR for 2k, for example, or 2.3k, because often or not, you're not going to 6-0, even if you're the best player in the lobby. If a DPS is the weak link, you gotta suck it up. Sometimes you have 3-3 wins, or sometimes even, God forbid, 2-4, because for some reason the weak link got a win versus you. So again, don't be frustrated. It's hard to climb regardless because of like how you started your MMR. But if you switch a few things, you would get more wins than losses, and you will climb regardless with the amount of games you're going to play. And since the queues are quite fast, it's going to be quite nice. Again, what you want to do whenever you're playing aggressive, very simple. You have, let's say, regrowth on this one. You have full hots on this one, like Swiftman, and then he's a main target. They have both full hots. So basically, whenever you can play aggressive, very easy. Starfire into wait, I'm not in combat. Let's get first in combat. So now I'm in combat. They're both healed. I can just Starfire multiple times even, and then do a Star Surge. And then if I feel like I'm in problems, I can just go back to live blooming those two targets. Make sure to not drop the live blooms whenever you're going to do so. But again, go back to your Moonkin form and try to do some Starfires. Whenever you're going Moonkin form with the Elder Call of the Elder Druid, your Moonkin form Starfire is actually very fast. Like it's a 1.5, 1.3, depending on haste, depending on your like buffs. It can be very nice. I don't even bother doing Moonfire and Sunfire because that's pad damage. But Starfire and Star Surge, that can actually win games, especially whenever it crits. I already critted for 150k Starfires, for example. Critted like for 130k, 140k Star Surges. It's really nuts. Trust me, like this 153k without the Call of the Elder Druid buff. So again, very, very strong. I'm not in League of Legends, so Call of the Elder Drake is not going to be happening. But anyways, again, if you're struggling, I'm going to repeat, double live bloom, regrowth, and if it starts gun blazing, just directly pop this, like Tree of Life with triple Treants. And if you don't know what I'm doing, I have like the Trophy GCD add-on up the camera, so you can actually see what I'm doing. So basically you want to full heal everyone, and you're going to be Gucci. This is going to be the most ideal situation. Those Treants are going to keep you in combat, so don't do a shadow mount and then try to prowl whatever. It's not going to work because you're going to get kept in combat as long as you have your Treants. If you really need a reset to drink, for example, you're going to cut those two Treants by clicking, or you make a macro, whatever, and then you can do Shadow Melt into drinking and you're good, or drinking into Shadow Melt and you're good. So again, try to be thinking about it, try to be aware about it, and that's pretty much it. That is the goal. And for Feral, I'm not going to show you because really you just stun into a convoke or like rake, rip, and run away pretty much. This is pretty much hit and run gameplay, and it really depends on the situation, so it's very hard to actually show you what you need to do, because in Soul Shuffle you're not going to get silenced from Starfire, so you can basically just Moonking Fire and then just press 2, which is my keybind for Starfire, and then 3 for Star Surge, and you're going to be Gucci. So again, pretty lit. The video is quite long again, so I'm not going to show gameplay, but I'm going to show gameplay on another video. But once I have some footage, I will show you guys the ways of the druid. Your macros, you want to have a few macros. Again, I'm not using Heart of the Wild, so I'm not using this one, but a few simple ones. For example, Nature Swiftness Regrowth. That's the one that you need to use if you're not really good at using Nature Swiftness with a regrowth directly, because it can get dispelled, so you don't want to sit on it for nothing. You're going to lose, and you're going to lose that, and you're going to lose a lot by doing that. I have a Focus Cyclone macro, very important. Again, if you can actually use the Focus Cyclone to cyclone the target, that's the best way to cyclone, by the way. And then you can also have a Cancel Form one, because again, Cancel Form is very important, because for example, if you're like travel forming and you're going to try to get your roots off or snare off, you don't want to sit travel form, you need to be very fast, right? So you don't lose a GCD, because you're going to lose a GCD anyways, because you're pressing travel form, but pressing the cancel form will only have the GCD on the travel form one, for example. So you cannot spam travel form, but at least if you're fast enough, you can just have only one GCD, which is the travel form one, and you're not going to lose a GCD from changing, let's say, to regrowth. So you cannot press rejuve, for example, but if you're doing this, you can actually be faster, for example. So that's a tip. Again, that's a kiting tip pretty much. You really need that because again, for example, this is going to be way faster by default, right? So that's it. And don't be scared of using CDs. I think it's way better to lose the social hole because you like the CDs than because you didn't press a CD. That's my opinion. Again, you learn way more by actively making mistakes whenever you are making mistakes than avoiding to make a mistake and then make the mistake that you actually didn't press anything. That's nothing that you're going to learn from. But if you're using Tree of Life maybe too soon because it feels like the damage is not out, and then that's it, you're losing just a CD. But if you're not pressing Tree of Life because you're stunned, Cyclone, whatever, and you didn't press it soon enough, it's very hard to recoup, and you just lose a game because of that. And it's just sad that I sometimes see healers lose games because they didn't really use a CD, like any CDs, and that's a dumb way to lose. And I know you can get CC the first 5 seconds and you don't trinket because you don't want to trinket first. That's too bad. Sometimes you have to trinket. Take the L. It's a 1.3. It's a 1.5 minute CD now, like 1 minute and 30 seconds. So just press a trinket. Press your Tree of Life. Don't be having a lot of regrets, and you want to be able to heal that with all the might of a Resto Druid. I think Resto Druid is one of the best specs. You cannot lose because of your spec. That's not going to happen. You only lose because you didn't press CDs, or you didn't foresee the damage because you don't have LIFEBLOOM on the right target, or you're switching LIFEBLOOMs incorrectly, so you will end up to not have the stacks on LIFEBLOOM for whenever it happens and whenever it needs. So that's pretty much it. So again, thank you for watching this spec guide of Resto Druid. I know it's a very long video. I'm very tired. Actually, it's like a very long video. But hopefully you did learn something, because that's the main takeaway. I want you guys to either learn to play against, or play with a Resto Druid, or play as a Resto Druid. And I think guys like this, even if you're not playing Resto Druid or you're not planning to play Resto Druid, I think it's very important, because Resto Druid is top 2 healer at the moment, at least played as well. So you're bound to face one, you're bound to play with one. So actually your understanding one is making you win way more against and with as a teammate. So be sure to, again, rewatch the guide if you need to. There are timestamps to make it easier, but hopefully you did watch the whole video, because again I try to give knowledge about the things. Again, I'm going to try to play way more Resto Druid because I do enjoy. Trust me, trees is also very, very frustrating if you're not like on Discord, so try to get on Discord. Again, you're a healer, so you have way more options. Soul Shuffle is also very fun, but also very frustrating. But if you're playing aggressive with the Moonkin form, you can actually do way more and way better. And try to use CDs. Again, I'm hammering on it because I think it's way too important. I think people are like sitting on CDs for nothing, so you have to use CDs. And don't be like sorry that you didn't use a CD. Be sorry that you used a CD at the wrong time. In my opinion, that's way better than you not using a CD and losing because you didn't press a CD. But that's, again, my opinion. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Hopefully it helped. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you're going to enjoy Resto Druid or playing with one in the future. Again, hit me up on the comments or even on my Discord if you want to have another guide up. If you want to have a more specific thing about Resto Druid, I'm glad to make another video about it. I'm really enjoying Druid right now, Boomkin as well, also Feral, so I will be making more videos about it very soon. So again, thank you for watching, have a great day. Be sure to stay safe. We will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.